So hello and welcome to the Oracle Engagement Cloud customers and partners on the phone. My name is Erica Anderson, and I'm an Oracle CX Advocacy Manager and will be your host for today's call. Today's exclusive webinar about 5 things you did not know were possible with Engagement Cloud with Oracle Transactional Business Intelligence is a gesture of our appreciation for your support of Oracle Engagement Cloud, specifically with completing online reviews. We will be recording this call for the customers and partners who are unable to attend. The format of today's webinar is simple. Our presenter, Edward Dewolf, will spend the first part of the webinar sharing about capabilities within Oracle Engagement Cloud. You will have the chance to ask questions throughout the webinar, and then after the presentation, we'll have time for open questions. Speaking of questions, these sessions are designed to be interactive, so please don't be shy. We realize the webinar format sometimes makes interactivity challenging, but this is your chance to take advantage of Edward and his expertise. Plus, it's very likely that the others on the call will have similar questions and will benefit from the answer. If you don't want to forget, feel free to throw it in the chat window as a chat to all panelists. As a reminder, lines are muted, so if you want to talk, you will need to unmute yourself. And with that, I'd like to introduce our presenter, Edward Dewolf. Edward is currently managing the Western European CX Solution Engineering Center of Excellence team. His team members are leading solution engineers in Western Europe for their domain, and their mission is to enable and support sales teams with expert knowledge inside Oracle and to evangelize Oracle solutions to customers and partners and prospects alike. Before this, Edward was a solution engineer for Oracle's Sales Cloud, Oracle CRM on Demand. He started his career at Oracle as an app tech solution engineer for eBusiness Suite, ERP, specializing in architecture and business intelligence. Technical baggage he does not hesitate to exploit today. Away from Oracle, Edward likes spending time with his family, playing basketball, or gazing up at the stars through his telescope and wondering how the universe works. So now it's your time to introduce yourself. So in the Zoom room, you can go down to the bottom and you'll see chat. So when you click chat, you just say to everyone, and then you can include your name, your organization, industry, and role, and whether you'll be attending Modern CX or not. Both Edward and I will actually be attending the conference. We'd love to meet you in person, and this is also a great chance for you to get to network and interact with others who are also using Engagement Cloud, so you could continue conversations with afterwards. We'll give just a minute for that, and then we'll hand it over to Edward to start. Don't be shy in the chat. There's no wrong answer. Here, Edward, I'll flip it over to you so you can pull up your presentation.
Very nice. Lots of people going to MCX.
Yeah, that's great. Well, we'll look forward to meeting you alongside at the conference. And if you see or hear people asking questions that you're interested, don't hesitate to use the chat to interact with them privately if you want, or look to connect with each other on site at the conference. All right, Edward, we can take it away.
Perfect. So hello, everybody. Thank you, Erica, for the introduction. I have set aside for you, and actually, maybe you've noticed, some of you might know me actually from my blog. Let me start with it. I've been playing around with Sales Cloud, Engagement Cloud for quite a while, and I've been documenting what I've been doing on my blog. And you might notice that my last post was actually January 3rd, which is quite a while ago. And actually, in the meantime, I've been preparing a number of things for MCX, but also for this particular call. And So whatever I'll be sharing in probably the next couple of weeks is whatever we discuss here on the call. And I would like to give you the opportunity to maybe pitch in some of your ideas of how you would want to use these ideas that I have on how to exploit Engagement Cloud a bit more, and have some interaction around us. So feel free to ask any questions as we go along. And Erica, I can't see the chat for the moment as I'm presenting. So if you see any questions pass by, I would appreciate if you could remind me of checking the chat once.
Yep, sure thing.
Okay. So Eric asked me to come up with a number of things that I thought maybe a number of people or a number of our customers would not realize were possible in Engagement Cloud. And that's of course a challenge. So I was thinking, especially using BI. I know that Erica mentioned in the invite that it was going to be 5 things people did not know were possible in Engagement Cloud OTBI. I added one that has nothing to do with reporting, but I hope you can appreciate it anyway. I would like to talk about a concept called an activity timeline, and not just about that concept, but more the use of being very creative with reports in general. Then I would like to talk about business plans, which is a capability in Engagement Cloud that I don't think enough people understand what it is capable of, and hence is not very often used. But I would like really to show whatever is possible there, and maybe have a discussion with people who might be inspired about that particular feature and how they could use it. I want to show a type of report that I don't think many people know is actually possible to make, a master detail report, and why that's important for end users in the way they experience reports in Engagement Cloud and Sales Cloud. Now I would like to do something which is called Smart View, and if you don't know what that means, that's really good, because I hope then that you're going to enjoy this feature. And I want to mention something that I've been asking for a long time, and that our product managers actually put into 19A. And to my big surprise, when they look at the feature list, they don't even mention it, and it's amazing. And it allows us to make all kinds of reports that I think in the past were on everybody's wish list, but that nobody really started doing it for all kinds of reasons. But we discuss it at the end of the call. And I hope that with these 5, you enjoy discovering some new things in Engagement Cloud. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to talk about is what I call an activity timeline. And the activity timeline, I've had a few of those on my blog in the past. Timelines, a timeline is actually a great way of showing data in Engagement Cloud in a different format, in an unusual format, probably or most useful in a format that is easier to consume by end users than they would get by default out of the solution. Engagement Cloud, just like other applications, is great to put data into, but to, in a creative way, visualize that data in a way that makes sense to end users so that they benefit from it and can learn from it is not always easy. And it's been something that I've been trying to do through BI, and I want to share how I'm doing that. Now, these are not normal reports. These are reports that where you need to do some coding. Somebody needs to, in JavaScript, do some extra coding within the report. Now, I know that's a technical knowledge that you need to have, or that might be a step too much for some of you. You don't need to know how this works, though. You just need to be able to find somebody who can do it for you. The big thing about BI is that I see people being limited towards limited by their own knowledge. This is true in life for everything, right? You're limited by whatever you know. And what I would like to do through this report is open your eyes, hopefully, and then show how BI can do much more than you thought. So before we go any further, let me first show you what this is all about. So this is a report in BI, not the usual one. It's not a bar chart, not a graph, not a table or a pivot table. It's a very different visualization of activities as they have happened within within an account over time. So you see here in February, a number of meetings were held, different color coding for types of meetings. And the interesting thing is here, if a meeting has happened, and you see here, you see the meeting and the call report, I can actually make the meeting disappear. So I have an overview of appointments, but if there is a call report for the appointment, the appointment is hidden and only the call report is being shown. And that's the kind of mix of information that you wouldn't get anywhere else in Engagement Cloud. Visualized in a format that's consumable by everybody. You don't have to learn anybody what a timeline is like. Everybody uses Facebook. Everybody understands what the concept of a timeline is, and hence it's a very intuitive way of presenting information, especially if you can mix it. Does that make sense for everybody?
Should we assume that silence means yes?
I hope so. This is actually, I've done such a thing in the past. Let me show you a few others. Thank you, John. I've done a few things in my, and I've shared those on my blog in the past. So a different version of this particular timeline is one where, and by the way, you can all download these from my blog. It's not official Oracle software. Oracle won't support it. I will help you if you have any issues with it, but I'm not going to run a support organization on my own. So you can download the report here. It should work. And this is a version where I, within an account, show everything that's happening, whether it's leads, service requests, open opportunities, won, lost opportunities. It gives a complete picture on a timeline of whatever happens within an account. What was missing here were appointments, because the ratio of appointments to other things is just so high that all this information around opportunities and leads and service requests and others would drown in the volume of activities. So what I've done with this latest report, which I will share on my blog in the next couple of weeks, is I've focused only on appointments, and then I thought it was interesting to replace appointments with their call report in case there was one. Okay, now this technique, and let me see, quickly check the chat. Yeah, so Eric, I think it was right. Eric, all these reports I publish on my blog, I'll show you a few more in a second. You can always download them. And I also have a video here under the download link that shows how you can import that report into your instance. Okay. This is a technique called narrative reports, whereby you use BI to extract data out of the system, combined from all over the place, because that's the power of BI, aggregate it to whatever level you want. But then you use not BI to visualize the data, but you use JavaScript and HTML. It's technical, but basically nearly anything becomes possible. That comes at a cost. It takes a bit longer to create these kind of reports. That's true. It comes at a cost in the sense that managing the reports, implementing a change into the report is definitely a bit more time consuming than it would be with a normal report. But it comes with value. And I think, as with everything, value needs to be balanced, or cost needs to be balanced by value. I wouldn't suggest that every report in the system you replace with this kind of report, because that becomes unmanageable. But in some places, for instance, in a timeline like this, I think it adds value to create such a report and look at data in a very, very different way. Whilst we're at this topic of narrative reports, I'll show you a few others that you might have seen in the past. They use the same technique. Well, I mean, just search for the same thing. That doesn't make sense. Like there was a time when we were looking at how can we implement gamification into the system, and I made a typo. How do you implement gamification into a system? And we can measure what's happening in an organization. We can set targets, but it's, especially if you want to make it a game, just using a table to set scores or to keep score is not really inspiring for an organization. So we were looking at how can you, for instance, how can you visualize in that same way using reports? And again, you can download this from the blog. Here is a report file you can download, and here is that video again. A racetrack whereby you see sales reps trying to achieve 20 activities, which means appointments and such, 20 activities a month. is this, again, do you do this with every report? No, but in the case of a game where you want to inspire people and you want to create some competition, it might be worth it in this case. I'll show a few more and then we move on, but I hope you get the idea. Right, this is a board game where you more in a monopoly style, where you have sales reps trying to run to 15 small deals. Yeah, the idea was imagine an organization where you do like doing the sales reps like going after the big deals, and you neglect maybe some of your smaller customers. So the idea was here, let's organize a game whereby sales reps get in the form of a competition, are asked to try and focus on 12 small deals a year, also one a month. And hereby you see that Lisa Jones has achieved her target. She gets a little city trip. Everybody has passed 6, so they get a bottle of champagne, and they're all on their way to 12 also. And the last example here is talking to how can you change the discussion about performance in an organization. And I came up with this kind of a report whereby, and this is inspired by a customer I was talking to who does something similar, but I didn't want to steal their idea. And I made something for them, but I create something similar here. The performance of a sales rep in 8 categories is measured on a score from 1 to 8. And as the score changes, the chess pawns will move backwards or forwards, become smaller or greater. So you can actually talk, instead of saying, how is your lead conversion going? You can say, where is your king on the chessboard? And change this discussion or the way that you talk about these KPIs. Is there any questions about this?
Edward, there is a question from Peter Shaw where he's asking, did you set the metric of the number of appointments in the system?
Peter, that is an excellent question, and I'm not going to answer it because that's actually one of the things I'm trying to achieve with the next topic in this 1-hour presentation, and I hope you understand. It's actually one of the things for which I would like you to consider using business plans, something that we don't do today, most likely. Okay? Any other questions about this? Let's call it a creative way of making reports that it's unconventional. I would advise you not to use it too much, but I would like you to know that it is possible there where it can add a lot of value. Okay? If there's no more questions, then I'm going to go on to the next topic. So you can expect this to be available on my blog definitely before MCX, probably in the next couple of weeks, which is actually MCX almost. Okay. Right. The next thing I wanted to discuss as topic number 2 is business plans. And business plans doesn't get enough credit for what it actually can do. Business plans was initially a capability created to manage partners on a yearly basis, to be able to sit down with a partner in PRM, partner relationship management within Engagement Cloud, and set objectives and measure against objectives how a partner was performing with an approval cycle and everything. And what has happened is that they, in a way, liberated the object and made it available for everything. So out of the box, business plans initially was just for partners and now also for accounts. You can set an account plan for an account. I'm not sure anybody has done that. Can I ask, before I continue, could you put in the chat whether or not you are using business plans? If you don't mind, just to get an idea, or just if you could mention if you're using it.
Edward, it looks like some people are just sending the note privately to me.
Okay.
But it looks like there's generally people not using it, but a few people are looking at it or reviewing it.
Yeah, awesome. So they're great. So that's exactly what I fear, is that nobody is using it enough. It's actually an object that has a lot of capabilities, and it's not tied into any process. If you look into Engagement Cloud, most of the functionalities are tied into a process, and thereby what you can do with it is driven by that process. Here you have an object with an entire construct around it, which allows you all to do all kinds of things, and I'll show it to you so you can discover it with me. That's free to be used. So instead of just having an account plan, I'm going to show you how you can imagine you work for an organization. I was working with a military contractor not so long ago. They have opportunities lasting 15 years because they're selling military airplanes. You don't sell that like on a week's basis, right? They need a plan how to approach that opportunity and how to manage that opportunity over such long time frames. Business plans is great for that. You could plan in a territory. How, if it's, for instance, you go into a territory for a year or for a certain time frame, what are we going to do? What are we going to try and achieve in the Western US or in the Montana region where Erica lives? What are we going to do with the sales team? Let's set some objectives, Peter, just as you were mentioning earlier on. All that is possible with business plans, and I wanted to share that with you. So I've done some config today. I set up a little proof of concept of what it could do, and I would like to share that with you. So there's no report here, although reports could be created upon that quite easily. You could join the plan data with the actuals from within Engagement Cloud, whether it is number of meetings or number of partners, number of customers, number of opportunities, opportunity revenue, and so on. But this is a great place where you can actually plan, set targets, not just, and I mean, in Engagement Cloud, it's all about opportunity and leads. In Sales Cloud especially, it's very revenue driven. And we have a great functionality when it comes to quota planning and sales performance management to focus on it's always about revenue driven targets. And business plans is a great way of setting other kinds of targets, other kinds of objectives as it's defined. Okay, so let me go into my instance of Engagement Cloud. We are. I'm logged in as John Dunbar. He is an admin and can do a lot of things. He just does not have access to sales. He has access to everything. I need this because in BI, I just get more data to work with if I log in as an admin, but then I also have to live with it in the application itself. So if I open up business plans, and I think business plans is available in every edition. You see that, and let's discover business plans as it was initially introduced into Engagement Cloud. Business plans is a functionality whereby you can set objectives, and in this case, for a partner, see this is a partner class business plan for the partner active systems for a time frame, whether it's a year or a number of years, or whether you can even specify quarters and so on. There's an approval flow, and then you can set one or more objectives against this particular business plan, which is very nice. Some are amount driven, some are quantity driven. Here you have a unit sold, quantity driven objective against which can be measured using BI, and there's a revenue driven objective for this particular partner for 2017 and 18. But there's other things that can be done here. For instance, there's a functionality to define a SWOT analysis for this particular partner. What are this partner's strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats? And you see here one, but I can add multiple threats, multiple strengths, and so on. Right? I can really define a plan, and anything else is open. You have notes, activities, team members who are working on the plan, a social conversation if you would want to, and then anything you would like to add. And that's what I've done. I've started adding quite a bit actually, because that's business plans as it was introduced, and with everything, as something gets introduced in the state it is, that's how people typically remember it. So let me show you what nowadays we can do. The one thing that came available not so long ago is business plans around an account. So instead of so this has been here for a while. You can create an account plan. So this is an account class business plan for the account Serenity systems worldwide. And I could do a SWOT analysis, I can set objectives, and I can add any other custom fields or custom objects related to this business plan to capture all kinds of things. For instance, what you could do here is add a little subtab that, and I have not done this, but I have a similar example later on, where I have all the service requests for this particular account. And I could have a list with all the opportunities for this account, and I could have a list of all the. Well, you don't want to recreate the account 360, but you could create a view on the account and measure against with objectives against the data in the environment. So an account-based. I mean, I think this is something. Account plans, we all make them, whether or not we put them on paper or into a system, we make them in our heads, right? In the beginning of a fiscal year, what are we going to do with this account? How are we going to approach them? What are we going to do? Who are the competitors for this account? Especially if the sales team is assisted like within Oracle by a pre-sales organization or sales solution engineering organization who also need to assist and might have their ideas. Okay. So those are the two that have been there for quite a while. And what happened, I think it was in 18D, they opened it up for anything. So you could create your own types, your own classes of business plans. And that's something I haven't heard or seen enough people do. So what I have here is, I have here business plans, not just for accounts and partners. I can create an opportunity business plan. So I can create now a business plan of class opportunity for a certain opportunity. I can drill down to the opportunity and work there, where I can set an objective, not revenue driven, or although you could do that too. But if, for instance, this is a unit sold quantity target. And again, all the extensibility is there. The approval flows if you want to work with multiple people. Can also create that SWOT analysis, similar to how you would create a plan for accounts and partners. So let's do things a little bit differently. Let's create a team business plan. Peter, to come back to your question earlier on, I've created here a business plan for the Benelux sales team. And the Benelux is a region in Europe where I'm from, Belgium, the Netherlands, and Luxembourg, 3 countries together. Which is a territory where we can set. This is a team base, not a territory. So this is a team of sales reps working in those 3 countries, and we've set here for them a cold calling target. So in this case, they need to do 5 cold calls a week, or that's a target we're trying to achieve with this team of people. So I can specify the team of people under team. And second target that we set is, per week, the sales reps in this organization, in this team, need to at least have 3 customer meetings, face-to-face customer meetings. And then using all the information available around appointments and leads, we could generate reports to set off these targets against the actual things that have happened that were registered in Engagement Cloud. Does that make sense, Peter? Does that answer your question? I didn't use this in the report that we saw earlier, but I could have. I could have implemented that. But then my report becomes dependent on some config in the system, and it's harder for me to share those reports, so I typically don't do that. Cool.
Edward, Peter replied that, and it said that does help, and it seems very powerful.
Cool. Very cool. A different one, something that I sometimes hear from customers is, we go into a new country or there is a territory, what are we going to do next year? So for the same region, the Benelux, I have a strategy plan. How are we going to approach this territory? It's a territory classed business plan. I could have a field here that says it's for a particular territory if you use territory management. But instead of doing that, I've chosen to create a list of accounts for which we're going to try and do here. So I could link here one after the other, different accounts that I consider that we want to target in the Benelux. And I've set I've set here 2 targets. A total revenue in the Benelux of 2.5 million, which I could have done with quota management. But also, we want to score 5 net new names. We need to stop people just focusing on renewals and always working in the same set of customers. We want them to focus and set them a target, which can be used in their performance review, who knows. Set a target of 5 net new names that we try to win in this region. Another side that I added here through configuration app composer is which are the partners we're going to work this or we're going to focus on in this particular year. If, for instance, I've chosen here to add Active Systems as a partner for the Benelux, and we're going to try and do 5 opportunities with them. We're going to try to get them engaged into 5 opportunities within this region. Okay. And I have one more. And then I would like to open it up for questions because now I start repeating myself. Projects. A project is something that is sometimes asked if there's a group of opportunities that you want to. I actually haven't made one. I'm going to make one with you. A group of opportunities. Let's say we have a project, a new product introduction for a new server introduction. Here we go. In 2019, this is a regional, and again, craft. There's a new product we are launching, a new type of server. All our demo servers have a color, so I'm going to use ultraviolet. It looks like a good color for a server. There you go, ultra. That doesn't make sense either. Ultraviolet server introduction. New product introduction in this in a certain region. So what I now can do is I can set targets like set an objective. Units sold. We want to sell. Ultraviolet servers. We want to sell in those first 2 years. What's a nice number? 50, for instance, right? But I also want to set a second target. Replace blue servers. We want to try and see if we can replace a more older version of this particular server. So you can set any kind of target, and the list of the type list is all can all be set up in a very flexible way. And then as we do so, if I now go and work on an opportunity, let me go to an opportunity. I have created with my favorite customer, which is Pinnacle Technologies. I'm sure you've all seen them in our demo instances in the past. Right, so I have a green server upgrade. Opportunity. And it's not linked to a business plan yet, but I could, right? As a sales rep, if I want to replace this green server with a, if I want to replace this green server with an ultraviolet one, I can say, you know what, this opportunity needs to be linked to this particular business plan. And then thereby it helps me meeting my target of getting 50 sold within, oh, this is an upgrade, by the way, meeting my target of 20, my objective, sorry, of 25 replaced by the end of next fiscal. So question, Peter, can you have different types of targets for the same plan? As you saw, I just created 2 completely different ones. Yeah, so the number of units sold and number of cold calls, sure. I can, let me go back to business plan. I can, and that's why I wanted to share. It's such a flexible object where you can, but you have to have the ideas. You have to have the creativity to benefit from it as much as you can. Okay, sales planning, will come to that in a second. So I could add here another objective, say, you know what, I also want to do around this particular new product introduction, a customer acquisition target of we need to do over 2 years, we need to do 200 cold calls or 2,000. Let's not exaggerate, right? Or what I should have done here, you know what, for the customer acquisition one, I'm going to do it slightly different. I'm going to say we need to do 2,000, not over the 2-year span. In the first quarter, we're going to do 200 ones, right? Or I can say, you know what, for the first 2 quarters in that 4 years, in that 2-year span, we're going to do 200 cold calls. Sales planning, and Erica, you have to help me here. I see only abbreviations of people's names in the chat, I think. Go back to the chat.
Yeah.
John is asking, is this from a webinar he saw a couple of weeks ago, is it the same, is there any overlap with sales planning? Not really. Sales planning is not a solution to, and I need to choose my words carefully here. Sales planning is a solution you could use to come to this number 25. It's not a solution to set a target. It could be, you could generate a target and then push it to quota planning, or you could push it to business plans. But it's more the analysis tool of in the Midwest, this particular sales rep, if you give him a few more accounts, what would that lead to? How much more revenue would it be generated? It's a tool to plan for these kind of targets, whereby quota management, and business plans is more a tool to capture the results of that planning. Does that make sense? So you have the tool sales planning to plan for and to analyze and to do what if kind of scenarios and what would happen if I add more salespeople or not to my revenue. And quota management and business plans is more to capture that and then analyze against the actuals.
Edward, John did chime in and said that. Thank you. That makes sense.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so that was business plans. What do you guys think? Something you want to have a look at closer? Maybe we can have a chat about it, how you could use it during MCX?
We'll take your silence that you're furiously populating your to-do list with more items to take advantage of this. Oh, yep, they're confirming it in the chat, Edward.
Yeah, John, me too. It's such an open functionality and such an open object, not related to anything, and it can be so useful for so many more things than just partners. It's just, unfortunately, not enough people know about it. Yeah, let's. I hope this was useful. How are you doing in time? Oh my God, sorry. It's only 20 minutes left. Let's move on to, anyway, if there's more questions about this, feel free to look me up at MCX. We can talk about this further. But I think it's a great thing to have a look at if you haven't so far. Master detail reports. So if you look at Engagement Cloud, and in the meantime, I'm going to open up a certain report to win some time. If you look at Engagement Cloud, screens are typically lists or reports. And then a list within one type of information. You have a customer list, an opportunity list, but you can't see customer and opportunities on one screen. The only place where you have an exception for that is that you can see on the opportunity screen, you can see revenue lines. And on the service request screen, you can see things like service request messages or related information to the service request. Go to a dashboard here. But actually, unless you know, there is other possibilities. You can create a kind of a master detail relationship between two reports and generate other types of master detail screens that you can embed into Engagement Cloud. Okay, so look at this report here. A report whereby I have a list of accounts on the top and then a list of opportunities. And if I click on the account, my list of opportunities below changes. These are the opportunities for the account I clicked on, right? And I can embed this into Engagement Cloud. A user wouldn't even see it's a report he's looking at. And I can still click on the opportunity and the screen will open up to make a change to the opportunity, right? Or I could, as I'm doing this in BI, I could actually look at a graph here and then click through that same data and see how that graph changes as I walk from one account to the other.
Edward,
Okay.
there is a question.
Sure.
Edward, there's a question from Michael D. He wanted to revisit the business plan functionality. He was wondering if that's some standard with the Fusion Engagement Cloud.
That is completely standard with the Fusion Engagement Cloud. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Okay, so master detail reports, they add value. They bring in a different UI pattern that maybe users are not used to in Engagement Cloud, but they know it from other applications. And I sometimes find it useful to have that, to have one next to the other. What you could also do is have like an account list on the side and have lots more information, like on the left side, just a list of accounts, you click on them, and on the right side, I could see my opportunities, my leads for that particular account. There's a different way of playing with data that you can introduce through these kind of reports. Is there any questions around this? Do you see any use to this? Would you want to have a look at how that could be implemented or how they could add value to your implementation? Cool.
Looks like from the chat it's pretty positive, but no questions so far.
Great, because we are running out of time and I got still 2 things to do. But now the really fancy stuff. So I have a screenshot here. And again, this report, I'll publish it within the next couple of weeks on my blog, so you can download it. Smart View. Can I just, as a show of hands in the chat again, who is using Smart View or who has heard from it? Okay, John, you're using it. Great. Are you using it within Engagement Cloud? Fantastic. So Smart View came into Oracle through an acquisition of Hyperion. And Hyperion is the enterprise performance management software we have that's used by an incredible amount of financial services organizations, not just financial service, sorry, the financials back office or part of organizations. It's a tool to integrate Office applications with BI so that CFOs can look at their data in Excel, push a button, and then still have that data coming from the application, from Hyperion. That was ported on our BI platform and is actually available to CX customers too. Now you might think, how can a financial solution to do financial planning and those kind of things be of interest to a CX organization? Let me show you. Oh, John, you learned it from me. Great. So let me show you what it does actually, and let me also show you where I can get it. So in BI, on the home page of the BI application, and if you look on Smart View on my blog, it's explained. You can actually download here Smart View for MS Office, right? And if you install it, what it does, it adds a plugin, as you can see here on the top of it in my PowerPoint. It adds a plugin into the Office products. It works very well with Excel and PowerPoint, but I prefer PowerPoint in this case. What it does, it allows me to add reports from Engagement Cloud directly on a PowerPoint presentation. Let me show you how that works. And again, if you browse for Smart View on my blog, you'll find explained how to work with it. There's my mouse. So in Smart View, I can open up a panel here, as you can see. This is the list of reports I have that I made on Engagement Cloud. So what I could do is I could add a slide, insert a new slide like you do in PowerPoint. Then you pick let's let's see which report we're going to pick. You pick a report in Engagement Cloud, because this is Engagement Cloud. I logged into my instance with my credentials, John Dunbar, and I can just say, you know what, this particular report, the table that's in there, I want to insert it into PowerPoint. Ah, there we go. Now he wants me to log in. Okay, hold on. I need to go grab the password. Oh, no, of course, I'm Matteo. No. Is it not the wrong instance? Hold on. It should be. There we go. So I'm sales manager Matteo Lopez in this case, because this is typically, no, okay, it doesn't want me to do. Interesting. You know what? You're gonna have to take my word for this now. And I hope, John, you can testify. You can basically add your reports directly onto Engagement Cloud. And the nice thing is, you know how these sales management meetings happen and they always want the same reports and it takes half a day to put them together? You can basically create them once, use directly the slides or the reports from Engagement Cloud. And just before the next meeting, all you need to do is log in, as I just terribly failed at. You hit the refresh button and all the existing reports on the existing slides just retrieve the latest data directly from Engagement Cloud and your presentation is ready. It's a great way of saving time on a tedious type of work. And it's all automated. It's all part of every edition of Engagement Cloud. Slightly annoyed though that I can't log in. Oh, that's because I'm trying to log in into the wrong instance. That's why. Hold on. Well, if you have time at the end, I'll love to do it again. I'm in the wrong instance. That's why.
Edward, there is a question from Eric Simonson. Sure. He's asking, can you use filters when you add reports to get data for specific time periods or other filters? Yeah.
Well, there's two options here. Or you build your no, PowerPoint is going to crash. I'm clicking around too much. Or you build in those filters dynamically into Engagement Cloud that you always have the opportunities come back that are closing in the current quarter, whatever the current quarter is. I'm sorry here, I need to laptop is just doing weird stuff now. Or you build them into Engagement Cloud so that your Engagement Cloud has those dynamic filters already, or indeed you can through the menu of the menu of the Smart View plugin, you can actually change the filters if you would have used prompts. Does that make sense? At the end of the call, let me first show something else. I'll try to log in properly because, of course, you won't believe that it works if I just tell you. I was just trying to log in with the wrong password in the wrong instance. I'll connect quickly to the other instance as soon as we're done. For those who want to stay 5 minutes longer, if that's all right with you, Erica.
Edward, that's fine with me. If you want to keep going, I mean, we can drop my promotion to or save that till the end. Eric did you answered his question. And then sure. Peter had a question about, can the user log in and then aid in the filtering? For instance, could a sales VP report, or for instance, a sales VP report will be based on the territory hierarchy?
Sure. Like with everything in Engagement Cloud, so also the reports, you see whatever you're allowed to see. So at the moment you log in, you see your territory, you see your hierarchy, and you're part of the hierarchy. Now, if you want to have a prompt that limits that amount of data because your territory is too big and you want to focus on a smaller part, from within the PowerPoint, you can actually manipulate the filter and change that. I'll show it again in a second. But I got something else exciting to show, which is that, I don't know if you remember the title of that the last thing I had to share, which was the one thing that nobody knows about in 19A, which is so sad. So in 19A, something that has been available in the Engagement Cloud for a long time became available in BI. As you might have used in the past, when you add an address into Engagement Cloud on a contact or on an account, on a partner, on a prospect, in order to visualize them on the mobile application, on the little maps that are available there, the Around Me maps, as they are called, we cross-check or we calculate for each of the addresses the corresponding longitude and latitude coordinates. Those coordinates, though, so they're on the system available. Oracle does that for you for every address. They were just not available in BI. So, and I actually need to change that. So now they finally become available, and you can create map reports, not just Google Maps, also Microsoft Maps. And again, this is something I'll share with you this week on my blog. I've made a few here, and instead of I have a few screenshots too, but let's go into the system directly and show what they look like. Went to edit mode for a second. Here we go. It's going to ask me where my current location is because it's a map, right? So here is a map of the world, and it just plotted, I think, 2,000 accounts on it. And if I log in, if I zoom into these accounts, I've created a map that does this grouping automatically. It's a feature of Google Maps that you can use or not. And if I click on them, I can have all kinds of cards appear. Now, in the past, this was possible too. But what you had to do was send the address to Google. Google uses Google API to calculate the longitude and latitude coordinates, and then use that on a map. But Google makes you pay for that. Now, with this new feature, we have the longitude and latitude coordinates, and you can actually just plot them on the map directly without having to pass by Google. So I hope you can think of creative ways of implementing a little map with maybe the appointments for this week, or if you go and have an appointment, you can see whether the other customers in the neighborhood, you can combine visits efficiently, those kind of things. And then whatever you put into these like little boxes, could be anything, could be a list of contacts at that particular account, can be like it's here a few KPIs, you could add anything here. Maybe a list of service requests that are urgent that need to be taken care of, that you need to be aware of when you're planning a visit, those kind of things. Is this of any interest to anybody? Think about how it could be of use. And I mean, again, these are not these standard reports. It's another implementation of these narrative reports. But I think it's a great way of showing how a narrative report could be used and how it adds value, because this is really a type of visualization that you can't get in any other way.
Edward, we're seeing some people make comments in chat that they're definitely interested.
Yeah. So that's perfectly possible now. It was always possible, but it was not as easy to implement. I mean, yes, there is a bit of JavaScript, but if you look at how much there is, it's just little this and this. That's it. A little bit of code. I'm sure everybody knows somebody, or it's easy to get somebody who knows a bit of JavaScript to make these kind of things now. And look at the amazing little reports we can generate now with this new capability. Okay, 3 more minutes left. If there's no question about this, I'm going to go back to Smart View, register this instance, which has not been done, or I thought I did it yesterday, but apparently it didn't get saved for some reason. And then we can I can prove to you that it actually works. I'll keep the chat open for a second, so feel free to. Well, anyway, you know what? If you want to see how this works, I'll be glad to show this on MCX, and then that way we can stay within time. I hope that's okay with everybody.
Hopefully that gives a good reason for coming to the conference. I know several of you are. For those of you who aren't going today, please consider joining us. It's a great 3 days, jam-packed full of inspiring keynotes and in-depth product information. It's a great chance to see more about what's coming on the roadmap. Edward is a master of this stuff, but doesn't have a ton of visibility into what's coming. So it's a great chance for you guys to get more visibility and to help your planning for the coming year. And also to network with other attendees, maybe even meet some of the folks on this call or other customers in your industry or using the same products, as well as members of the Oracle team. It will be taking place March 19th to 21st in Las Vegas, so we hope to see you there. And then finally, if you haven't checked out the Oracle CX Hero Hub, we do have an online experience that's really geared and tailored towards helping people get excited for the conference. We've really expanded CX Heroes this year to open and offer opportunities and activities for all attendees. So just a few examples would be that you could suggest or even lead a meetup to connect with your peers. You can have a chance to enter or a chance to meet the celebrities or the band. There's virtual scavenger hunts, and there's all kinds of different opportunities for you to show off your expertise and share your success. So check out the Oracle CX Hero Hub to start your modern CX journey today. And with that, I think we're done today. So thank you guys so much for your time and your support of Oracle and submitting an Engagement Cloud review. We really appreciate it, and we'll look forward to seeing many of you in Vegas next month. Thanks so much, Edward.
Anytime, Erica. Have a nice day, everybody.
Thank you.